Good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it started. We're going to begin in the NFL here with the news of Ryan Tannehill, who took his team through an impressive postseason run. He's agreed to a 4-year contract. According to our Jeff Darlington, the deal is for $118 million total. That includes $62 million fully guaranteed, $91 million total guarantees. Tannehill won Comeback Player of the Year honors in his first season in Tennessee. Some thought Tom Brady would reunite with Coach Mike Vrabel and join the Titans, but obviously that is not the case. Let's go to the authority. All things Tom Brady and Boston sports. But first, look who's here, another heavyweight, Mike Greenberg, who's been holding us down all morning on Get Up, you and Laura, 8 to 10, every Monday through Friday. We can check you out. Great job by you. Greeny, we'll get to you in just a moment. Max, talk to me. How does your boy Tom Brady look now?
He looks like the non-elite quarterback that he is at the moment. That's why he hasn't gotten interest, serious interest, from the contenders. And look, there are teams like Tennessee that look like they're poised, like San Francisco, that look like they're poised to make Super Bowl runs, and their quarterbacks couldn't quite get it done. Do you know how valuable a Super Bowl championship is to a franchise? If those teams thought that just this upcoming season, they had a chance to be even incrementally better at the quarterback position next year, this upcoming season, and win a Super Bowl, if they really thought having Tom Brady instead of Tannehill or Tom Brady instead of Garoppolo would win the Super Bowl, of course they would sign Tom Brady. But they didn't. Why do you think that is? Well, Tannehill, when he eventually he only threw for 209 yards when he got knocked out by the Chiefs. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Brady, against Tannehill's team, threw for 209 yards, got knocked out in the first round, no touchdowns, and an interception. Garoppolo wasn't good enough to get it done against who? Patrick freaking Mahomes, the best football player probably who ever lived already, he had a 10-point lead on Mahomes in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Well, if it was Tom Brady, you wouldn't have been there with a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. That's the point. The amazing thing about Brady is he's still pretty good. He's 42. But that's what he is. He's pretty good. He's 42, and the elite teams understand that.
Well, first of all, let me be very, very clear. The only reason why you have a situation where you're going to pick Ryan Tannehill is because he's younger and he has much more left in him in his career. If Brady were not 42 going on 43 years old, this wouldn't be a discussion. That's number one. Number two, I'm really getting sick and tired of the disrespect that's being articulated about Tom Brady. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm looking at football analysts, I'm looking at supposed aficionados, and I'm sitting there and I'm asking this question: what the hell is wrong with y'all? Have y'all forgotten about football, or are y'all just on a mission to betray me? Because I got news for you. If you look at the talent that he was playing alongside last year, what the hell can you say? There was no Antonio Brown to rely upon. You just had him for one game against Miami. Josh Gordon, don't get me started. He was a reclamation project gone bad, didn't work out. N'Keal Harry, Lakasi, and all of these other guys, rookies, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. Tom Brady barely even knew their name, let alone what routes they were going to run correctly. How in God's name do we sit here and ignore this? I'm not saying that Tennessee made the wrong call, but let's understand why they made this call. 4 years, $118 million for a Ryan Tannehill that just remembered how to play quarterback for the first time this year. The previous 6 or 7 years in the National Football League, that was not the case. What's the situation involving Tom Brady? Tom Brady is 42 years of age. Chances are he's got 2 years max left in him, and that's about it. Yes, it's a win-now league, but in the same breath, you're going to think about longevity, because if you are an executive and you are thinking about the future of a franchise and the sustained level of competitiveness that you could potentially have, then what you want is a guy that you can rely upon beyond 1 year. Nobody is going to tell me that if we just had to look at next season and next season only, that Ryan Tannehill is going to give you a better chance to win a Super Bowl championship than Tom Brady. Let's stop the nonsense right there. It's about the fact that he's 42 years of age. It's not about last year when he was bereft of weapons. It's about the fact that he's 42 years of age, and you had a quarterback that you believe, based on his complete 70% of his passes last year, all right, this is a guy that we can rely upon for the foreseeable future, meaning 3, 4, 5 years down the line. If this was about 1 year, it wouldn't even be a discussion. Let's stop it.
You know, Max Kellerman and I share a birthday, and we grew up in the same neighborhood, and so it always pains me to disagree with him. But in this particular case, Max, I think you're dead wrong. I think Tom Brady is 14 months away, this moment, 14 months away from outscoring Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game with a lesser team. Listen,
he threw an interception to end that game.
He won.
Let's be honest.
14 months ago, he won the game in overtime. Now, I understand if Mahomes had won the flip, then he would have gotten the ball first and they would have won the game. But the reality is Brady got it and moved them right down the field and scored a touchdown to win it. Here's the bottom line. In my personal opinion, Stephen A. is right. New England last year, Tom Brady was throwing the ball to people I've never heard of, and I have nothing in my life better to do than be following who the people are catching passes in New England. And I will give you the place he should go right now, which is way better for him than Tennessee, way better for him than the Los Angeles Chargers, which has been a very popular choice, or the Las Vegas Raiders, which would be a disaster for both. And that place is Tampa. Because you need to get the heck out of the AFC. We now live in a world where only one team is going to get a bye into the playoffs on both sides of the ledger. Buried under the 17 games in the new collective bargaining agreement, which doesn't come into play until 2021 at the soonest, is that the new playoff structure starts immediately. You only get one bye in either conference. And I don't want to be in Patrick Mahomes' division, and I don't want to be in Lamar Jackson's conference. I'm going to go play in the NFC, which right now is feeling a little bit like the junior varsity, and I'm going to go play with outstanding weapons in Tampa, an underrated defense, a coach who likes throwing the football around, and a division where someone new wins it every single year. To me, Tom Brady is still, if not what he was 10 years ago, he's still not all that far away for a short period of time. And if he goes to Tampa right now, I give them an excellent chance of making the Super Bowl.
They're certainly still on the table, and as you alluded to, they have fantastic weapons. Staying with quarterbacks, though, gentlemen, I have some more. Reach a 2-year extension with Kirk Cousins. Stephen A., your thoughts on this move?
Well, I just think that I think that Kirk Cousins needs to be credited for his brilliance. I mean, the man, he doesn't win too many playoff games. I think he's only won one in his career. Half the time he doesn't make the playoffs, yet he positioned himself to get a guaranteed $84 million over 3 years a couple of years ago, and now he's got a 2-year extension. So he finds a way to make money. I don't know whether it's him or whether it's his agent. He is a very, very nice guy, very, very likable guy, smart, and a really decent quarterback. I certainly wouldn't call him a winner, but somehow, some way, he manages to make sure he gets his numbers and he gets his money. Props to him.
Can I say very quickly, Max, I don't mean to cut in, but the one piece of this that really surprised me, and there'll be a lot of surprise around the league, is that you know who really likes him and thinks he's a nice guy, Stephen A., is Kyle Shanahan, the coach in San Francisco. And a lot of people were looking at one more year of Cousins, give Garoppolo one more year to prove that he's worth what they've given him, and then that Cousins would wind up in San Francisco. So the fact that he gets a 2-year extension in Minnesota takes that off the table, and I guess it does, despite everything you're hearing, put the Brady possibility in San Francisco back on.
Well, Greeny, let me say this real quick before Max chimes in. I would tell you that if you're Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, I don't blame you for not making that move or for not pushing to make something like that happen, in light of how Kirk Cousins ended up performing in the postseason against them. Obviously, it wasn't entirely his fault, wasn't protected enough. Dalvin Cook was held in check, didn't have much to work with that particular day. Adam Thielen wasn't 100%. Okay, Stephon Diggs couldn't get off, and you're going up against an elite San Francisco defense, so you got to take all of that into consideration. But if I'm just fresh off of a performance where I've completely annihilated you and negated anything that you want to do, I then cannot turn around in the offseason and acquire you, even if it's at the expense of Jimmy Garoppolo, not when your performance is the freshest thing in my mind. When you went against us, I couldn't do that, so I don't blame them.
I think teams are more likely just to look at who they think going forward is the best man for the job. And Cousins has that kind of stink on him where you don't believe he'll rise to the occasion. He did a couple times this year, and if he can get rid of that, he's in good stead around the league. But I want to look at this Cousins extension and look at the contract Tannehill just signed and the contract that Garoppolo signed. The guaranteed money is not like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff and those guys. Forget about annual average. It's guaranteed dollars that we're talking about. And those are smart teams. If you may even be better off with a quarterback who's good enough to get the job done and is not going to cost you $100+ million in a guarantee. He's only going to be $60 million in a guarantee. Who's good enough to get the job done, other than the guy who makes you believe there's more upside? Because in the end, are Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, is the production, in fact, especially when you need it most, is it different than Tannehill or Garoppolo or Kirk Cousins? Because some of these guys are getting $100 million and some of these guys are getting $60. And it's what John Elway said when he didn't want to throw away money on Osweiler. He said there should be a middle class of quarterbacks. This is the upper middle class of quarterbacks. Cousins and Garoppolo and Tannehill. Upper middle class quarterbacks by NFL
upper middle
standards.
class, I can go with that. I can go with upper middle class.
We'll have much more on this later. Mike Greenberg, thank you so much for being with us. Great perspective as always. We will see you and Laura Rutledge tomorrow morning.